This is the Authority Company Podcast, conversations with leaders that are designing our future. Hola, I'm Joe Pardavila, and today I'm taking you behind the scenes of the world of luxury marketing with Terri Eagle, the author of the new book, The Champagne CEO, A Sparkling Journey of Success Through Courage, Confidence, and Collaboration. We're going to talk about Terri's amazing 25-year run working with the likes of L'Oreal, Mont Blanc, and David Yurman, the impact her father had on her, and what the next 25 years will look like with the Terri Eagle Group. Terri Eagle, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you, Joe. I'm great. Pleasure to see you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to see you too. And so I don't know if this comparison's going to sound odd, but if folks reading your book, the first thing that comes to mind going through your journey, Terri, is Madonna. You're like the Madonna of entrepreneurs. And I mean that you've become this master of reinvention in like 5 industries. Tell me where that, first of all, hopefully you're not offended by the Madonna comparison, but second, like, what is this idea of Okay, good. Where does this idea of reinventing yourself over your career come from?
It comes from really loving businesses of all types. And I love the product. And if I can really engage with the product and has a beautiful story, then I can really jump in and feel very proud to represent it. So it really hasn't mattered what industry, as long as I love the product and the story. And that has been my journey so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, so far. And I know you go way back talking about Pizza Pete and pharmacy and then working with these luxury brands. Those early years, how formative are they for your leadership? Like, are there leadership lessons that you took from Pizza Pete and still apply them, X number of decades later? Because I do know, like, I played high school football very poorly, mind you, but I still remember like lessons from my coach and still use them a lot of years later. Terri, I'm not going to out myself here, but a long time later. So do like any of those lessons from early in your career still pop up now?
Yes, they do. The Pizza Pete days, Joe, were with my dad. And talk about someone that was super dedicated, very hardworking, lovely and smart. And I had the pleasure to work alongside him as a young lady, and at the same time as a cheerleader. So I did my cheerleading during, all the tryouts and all the things. And so I think just having that enthusiasm, that pep, that go, and then working alongside my father as my first career opportunity was really a gem in my beginning life.
Tell me about the core values you took from him, because I know my father was sort of like my mom did all the talking in our household. My dad was the quiet worker. He would get up to work before I would wake up and get home late at night and just like pass out on the couch. And so I sort of imbue his sort of work ethic of just, grinding it out, sort of like that immigrant's kid mentality where, work as hard as you can and you'll be rewarded. So tell me about some of those core values from your dad within in those Pizza Pete days.
hmm Core values would be, the customers were king. I mean, he really enjoyed the engagement with customers. I learned as I watched him making pizza, Joe, he had a special way you had to present it because you couldn't put too many ingredients on or too little, because there was profitability on that pizza as well. I did finally graduate from all the steps you can imagine, from the serving to, um, working alongside the team. Uh, then graduated to take the cash from the register, and in those days, you had to be able to count the money. And I learned that from my grandfather. Actually, we had to learn how to count the money as young people, and so that was a big deal because it was trust, dedication, and just seeing how he just welcomed and was very warm with the customers.
That's great. I love that. I love that. And in terms of, it's funny because so you have this sort of blue collar background of a family, entrepreneur at its core, but then you become this champagne CEO. First, let me ask, What does your family think about the trajectory? I've already mentioned sort of the Madonna comparison about the multiple things that you've done over the course of your career, but like this idea of going from slinging pizzas to slinging luxury goods. Tell me what the family thinks about it.
Thank you. That I appreciate very much. My family, certainly my father, which you'll see in the book, it's dedicated to my father. And why? Because for my whole life, Joe, he took interest, even as busy as he was building his own business, to be very present in my life and always see how it was going, how I was doing. And he just loved to kind of counsel, coach, talk, and as parents like to do. But he just never skipped a beat of the engagement with me. And when I did tell my family I was moving from my hometown of Seattle, Washington, with my parents, my best friend Lael Paul, my grandmother, when I told them this, it was like, "You're moving to Dallas, Texas? Wow." But my dad could not have been more supportive. There was no holding back. He was always so proud of me. And actually, every Sunday night we would talk. We were dedicated to that Sunday call, Joe, and he would say, "Honey, I'm really proud of you. You keep going. And I'm always here for you. And I love you very much." And, he was just a gem in my life. And I was in Dallas, Texas for 3 years, Joe, with L'Oreal Cosmetics, and it was incredible being there and, having the national account responsibility. I was like, "Woo!" So, anyway, and what was that? That was J.C. Penney when they moved, from New York City to Dallas, Texas, and I, had the meeting in the New York office. "We think you'd be great to move to Texas." Oh. And I did. So that was the beginning of the transition because I had set a goal to work as a senior executive one day in New York City.
Wow, that's so cool, so cool. It's funny because I was sort of spoiled because I grew up in the shadow of New York City. I was born in Newark, raised in North Jersey. So the idea of making that jump from New Jersey to New York City was basically 10 miles. It was a tunnel ride, as you know. Um,
Yes.
but I'm always impressed and respect the people that make the jump from across the country and then make New York their own. Tell me about those early days. Obviously Seattle is very, even though it is a pretty metropolitan city, has a lot going on for itself. There's nothing like New York. So tell me about, and then obviously Dallas as well, similar to Seattle, very metropolitan, has a lot going on. Tell me about those early days. And obviously you embraced New York. You've pretty much spent the rest of your life there. But tell me about what it was like when you first got there, and then how it's been for you in your life.
Yes. When I was an account sales manager at L'Oreal, when I first started, they had a national sales meeting when I was based in Seattle, Washington. And the sales meeting was in New York City, Joe. And I'll never forget, I flew there by myself. I had never been to New York. And I went through the tunnel and all the billboards and the lights. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." And the week there, L'Oreal had a magical national sales meeting. And I made a decision during that meeting of all the incredible training, development, the support they gave to the team. I was like, I really want to be here. I want to be here all the time. And I set goals to earn achievements and make my journey to New York City early on in my career. And I it didn't go without, I would say, loneliness in Dallas, Texas, because I was traveling a lot. So that, but once I got to New York, I think I have funny stories. I didn't measure my apartment properly, and I had furniture from Dallas, Texas, Joe, and none of it fit.
Right.
It was out in the hallway, and the building, you're not really allowed to do that. So I had this big Texas furniture in this little tiny apartment that I had the wrong measurements for, and it's like, well, welcome to New York City, Terry. And I just tried to just go with the flow, and I actually my boss at the time sent me a beautiful basket as a welcome, and it had orange shorts and an I love New York t-shirt. Well, the orange felt very comfortable to me coming from Dallas. So I put those on, put the t-shirt on, and it, I a friend came to see me and said, "What do you have on?" And I said, "Well, I got this as a gift, and I'm going to go out and do my errands." And I don't think you should do that. You look just like a tourist and probably not a good idea to set forth. Maybe you should check out a couple bit of black attire and just tone it down a touch. So, just I've had some, times where I think about what were my takeaways, and just I embraced every part. I was never afraid. And somebody told me in my first week, "You'll never be alone in New York City because, yes, there are so many people and they're so friendly and they'll just talk to you and help you." And it was true from the subway to Central Park. I did it all, saw it all, loved it, and just jumped into my career.
That's awesome. Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you for sharing that, indulging me. So let's jump. So that was the start, and then you have this amazing jump into working with luxury brands. You mentioned you start with L'Oreal, but this is something that a lot of people talk about, and it's like marketing to the affluent. It's one of those things where people don't think about it, but it's like you don't meet as many customers with the affluent because you're making higher margins. I mean, it's kind of silly to say out loud, but people don't realize like that's sort of like the key for a lot of these luxury brands. They don't need to be in Walmart to be successful because they have this niche audience that's going to sell a premium. Tell me about your understanding of working and sort of appealing to the affluent.
The first experience would be with Mont Blanc, and you did not call it a pen, Joe. It was called a writing instrument.
Well,
So I had the great pleasure of working with Stanislaus Daycare Cease, who was our CEO at the time. And we were part of the reinvention plan to relaunch Mont Blanc globally into the luxury market. And we're talking retail stores, boutique Mont Blanc in store, all the way we looked and then the story of the writer series, Joe. So what was that? It was they came up with an incredible um, mission to share special writers, whether it was Oscar Wilde or Hemingway. There was a beautiful writers series that at the same time as we beautified the brand, and it made it so powerful you wanted more. And there was even a $100,000 one, no, actually there were three, but one, two, three limited edition diamond crested writing instrument.
of course.
And I learned during that time to have the tiered distribution, and it just drew demand of wanting maybe what you thought you couldn't have, but the limited edition writing instruments were limited and the places to purchase were limited, and it was a beautiful environment, and it was the first entree for me into marketing and building a luxury brand after parting with L'Oreal, which, what a great foundation that was for my long-term career.
Yeah, it's interesting about. I know this is kind of exhausting now because people talk about the importance of storytelling, but I don't. In terms of the luxury market, storytelling is king because I mean you could probably sell a Bic pen without a story. You probably can't sell a Mont Blanc writing instrument without the story. When did that become a part of your radar? Was it the Mont Blanc days where you realized, wow, every all these luxury items need to have a story, or this audience is just not going to accept it?
Well, then I would say after I knew that the magic of the beauty of how Mont Blanc was presented drew demand. And there were so many collectors of writing instruments that really fell even more in love with the brand. Then I was selected by Sybil and David Yurman to join David Yurman and talk about the most incredible experience in my career. Joe, why? Because we were the first brand to share and show jewelry on a live, beautiful model, Amber Valletta. And I watched the power of a voice, a message in building demand like never before. And it was absolutely incredible, all that we did to show how jewelry could be worn, and the story of David and Sybil, and, David designing Sybil the muse and the amazing marketer. And I had the pleasure truly to work with them as a team to build the business to the next level. And it it was just awesome, the type of luxury that you could wear, and you had to, Joe. You had to wear not just one David Yurman bracelet. You had to stack them and, wear them. And, Sybil would show, like, how you would, um, wardrobe the David Yurman. And I love listening to David on his personal appearances about, you can go to your black tie, you can ride your horse, you can pick your kids up from school, but it just became the momentum that it was the piece, and still is the piece, to wear, to be the it.
Well, it's funny. The whole time you're talking about David Yurman, I was worried that my wife would listen to me because she's a huge fan of David Yurman, and I
Okay.
one of their pieces in a while. So hopefully she's not walking by my studio here and mention that, because I did worry a second, because as you know, David Yurman could be a little pricey to be the it girl or it boy. So
Joe,
what's
you can
incredible.
do it.
Yeah,
You
I
can do
can
it.
do it, but I would also put myself in credit card debt, Terry.
Okay.
So let me talk about this. The idea of innovating a luxury or heritage brand. And you mentioned how Mont Blanc did it, how David Yurman did it. But I think for a lot of brands, when you have sort of this legacy, it's hard to innovate. I think we're kind of seeing it now with Nike, even though they're not technically a luxury brand, but they're an aspirational brand. And they've kind of they've hit sort of a creative rut over the last few years because they've leaned so much on their sort of heritage styles. Why do what are some of the ways for companies to innovate but still keeping the glow that they've built during the course of their career? And you're seeing it like the Louis Vuittons and Chanel's have been doing it for decades. They find a way to innovate, even though they are still known for signature styles and logos and such, but they're still innovating and connecting with people. Tell me about that piece of innovating a legacy sort of brand, or even industry.
I think innovation comes with being a good listener. There are so many wonderful stats now to read your results on your social media, your voice. Who is listening to your brand? Who is aspiring to be part of your world and your brand? And I really feel it's really important to engage with change. Change is good. And, you know, when you think about what you did 5 years ago with a brand, or 10 years ago, think about the media that we used to have to compete to buy to get the brand out. All the pages in the Vanity Fair and the Vogue and the New Yorker, and all the in style. And, it was a big competition to show the brand that way. And then when you think about how life changes, and consumer habits change, and to talk to them now, there certainly is a message now about, over engaging with social media and too much. And however, keeping your voice authentic, and you can feel like, I want to be part of that world, is not easy, but it can be done. And I have loved being part of brands, change. And it's important to attract new consumers and take care of the existing brand loyalists.
Ah, it's good stuff. Obviously, the title of the book is The Champagne CEO, but you write about incorporating celebration and joy into workplace culture. As an outsider, someone who's not been involved in a luxury brand, you almost feel like everyone in that office are just kind of like too big for their britches. They're kind of like a little, tightly spun. They have like they have a different, they're not going to just start like celebrating, like whooping and hollering and high fiving people in the hallways. That's the impression I get as just sort of like just working class kid looking at those brands. How do you incorporate that kind of joy and celebration in that world?
You're 100% right. We are all wound up, Joe. So we are wound up to win, and we are, ready to take on the day. And it is a certain spirit that lives in the creative houses. That's true. And it is not for everyone. It is for those that, love the thrill of the game, the beauty of the branding. And I think you have to find a way to just like have a bit of fun along the way. And I started quite a ways back about celebrating birthdays. So that was kind of my beginning. And I tried, I mean, I was making myself a little crazy, like, oh my goodness, look at the calendar. It's today. This is, you know, uh, Serene's birthday is today. And then I would be like, I gotta deal with this now. I gotta stop. So I at first was the birthday, and I was like always figuring out who's going to do the cupcakes, and then who's going to do the birthday month, all that. All companies have done that, but I've tried along the way to be creative. And first of all, with my core executive team, and I'm really thankful and proud of who has been with me along my journey. I've worked with and along great teams, did none of this by myself, and that wanted to, live successfully and be part of something amazing. And so I would say, "Oh, well, where are you going?" "Oh, you're going to, you're going to Florence, you're going to Anguilla, where are you going?" And I would figure out the hotel and where are you staying? Just common conversation. But then I would get back to my office and dial up whoever and make sure that, I didn't just send champagne if they don't drink it, but maybe it was a bottle of red wine, or it was an assortment of, chocolate dipped strawberries, something with a note. Enjoy your time off. You're doing a great job. And just a little love in the air to give additional support, because it's not easy building a luxury brand. And the level of talent that it takes is important, that really understands quality, and just the respect of the name and what it takes to get it done. And I treasure so many people in my life, lots of years of, just cool, great, fun, fabulous, smart, nice people.
Wow, that's cool. So I take it at David Yurman, you weren't using the Carvel Fudgy the Whale ice cream cake for their celebrations. It was probably something a little different.
We did all kinds of so many fun things. I mean, gosh, it didn't have to be fancy always.
Okay.
But it was, just to try and create a little memory around it, and the element of surprise. And the days would be busy, and then somebody'd say, "It's 3 o'clock. We got to do the birthday cake," or and just get everybody together and the singing and all the things. So that's what I have really tried to do. And remember the cards, and I did end up doing a birthday box, because there were so many people. So at the beginning of each month, if their birthday was in February, they got a special happy birthday box.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, I'm sure they would have enjoyed the Fudgy the Whale, but the birthday box probably worked out great. Talking about, you mentioned the building these teams, and it's almost, again, I'm supposing because I don't know this world, but like you almost have to be a fan of the brand first. I think that, and I've written about this recently about, if you want to do something, you have to be a fan of it. Like, I'll talk to folks all the time, working at Advantage and Forbes books of like, they'll want to do a podcast. I'm like, well, what podcast do you listen to? Who do you host? He goes, oh, I don't listen to podcasts, but my friend said I should. And I'm like, wrong start. I'm not saying that you need to be, listen to Joe Rogan's 3-hour podcast twice a week for the rest of your life to be a fan of podcasts, but you have to sort of love the medium and love what you're doing for it to succeed. I mean, that's the way I look at it because I can't do something I don't love. So tell me about these folks and team members that you assemble, because it starts with them loving that brand first, right?
It does. Yes. Perfect thought, Joe. They have to be passionate about the brand. It's a must. And, I through my time would, when I would sit in a, and I never towards, the last, I don't know, 5, 8 years, I wouldn't call it an interview. I had great resumes in front of me, and it was more to see if they would be a good partner to represent the business and what was their, their sensibility and, were they passionate about the brand and excited and what did they know and what would they do? And I liked hearing from other people like, well, what would you do if you're in this role? And certainly the salespeople, that's right there. Joe, talk about building a company that they just love the brand and they're representing to all those end consumers, retailers, all of them, to want to have the product and wear it or show it in their home or whatever their aspiration is, and that they just love who they are a part of, and it becomes a family. Every company becomes a real family.
Ah, that's so cool. Awesome. All right. So I have to ask this, and this, I was not planning on asking because I didn't get to know you until we had this conversation. But like, how do you stay so grounded working with brands like this? Because again, I apologize for saying this, but like, when I first read up on you and like, and I knew your story and you seem like a very sweet person, but like the idea of like you being in this high luxury world, but you wouldn't think that if you just ran into Terri Eagle on the street, riding her bike around New York City. How do you stay so grounded working in this world?
I stay grounded to the to building the dream for the company's success, keeping my eye on the ball, and trying to be a good partner along the way. It it hasn't come without some hard knocks. I have a CFO that worked with me in 3 companies. She did present me with a velvet hammer, Joe. So yes, I try and be nice, direct, um, and, she put a really beautiful inscription on it, about, just, leading with, love, care, passion, and driven as all get out. But, uh, yes, I am grounded. I am extremely focused. I do care about the team and the people, the company and the brand deeply. And it comes with, it comes with extreme desire to be successful so that the whole company is successful.
Hmm, that's great. And lastly, let's give a little plug to the company because all of this has worked its way to you starting the Terri Eagle Group. Throw a little plug here. Tell us about what your organization does and what the future looks like for it.
Thank you, Joe. I feel really great about this. I what you think about, you've made it when, and I made a personal decision at the beginning of this year. Actually, it was in December, closing out 2024, and I thought, do I want to do a CEO role for one company or Terry? I had a talk with myself in the new year, Terry, and I said, I love working with business owners, founders, and teams. why don't I let people know that I'd love to help them too, and not just one? I don't want to be in one lane. I want to spread my wings. The eagle will fly, Joe. And, or just kidding, kind of. But truly, I have decided that I want to do different industries like I have. And what does everyone need? They need a sales strategy, which I pride myself in. They need marketing all the time to refresh and reset and relook. They need best practices. They need, financial positioning so that their financial structure is solid. HR, all the back end, the operational HR. And I love hearing what the needs are, and that is what I have done. I can tend to be a little quiet in the beginning of all the companies I've been a part of. Always have a book and I take the notes, and then I like to go in and make changes, because usually change needs to happen to grow to the next level. And it can be good if everybody decides to embrace it and let's give it a try. And I get a kick out of it. So the Terri Eagle Group, it is a team. I am the chief business strategist. I am founder and CEO. And I reached out to key people. Only one person has worked with me in the past, but I have a team of, there's 5 of us. And I have a fabulous CFO. I have a fabulous CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. I have an incredible lawyer slash HR executive for all the back end. And I have a chief commercial officer and direct consumer brand builder. So I go in first. Maybe they need one or more of my team members, or none of them, maybe just me, and that's great. And I want to help. And I love, I guess you would call it, peeling like a beautiful fruit, finding how delicious it is inside, and just enjoying the process for as little or as long as they want me to be part of their company, and just enjoy it. And I have already been courted. I officially launch May 1st, Terri Eagle Group, and all tied in. The timing is beautiful with the Champagne CEO. And I just feel really thankful, Joe, that I can be in this place in my life where I have a lot to give and a lot to share. And I want to go into businesses and sit with them and hear what they need, and try to help a lot of businesses be even more successful than they already are today. It would have to be a brand that has a story of some sort that I can get around, of any type of walk in the park, and hear what they need, and then propose and go and do like I love to do. And I appreciate you asking me about Terri Eagle Group, because
Oh,
that
you're very welcome. And lastly, I always wrap these conversations, Terry, taking folks behind the dedication of the book, and you mentioned your dad, but you dedicate the book to your fabulous husband, Bart Eagle, who has truly given me all the love, support, beautiful memories, and continued great adventures for more than 30 years. Bart, you give me the wingspan to fly like an eagle. What a lucky lady. I'm lucky to have you in my life. Love you. XOXOXO. My wife does that as well. XOXOXO. So tell me about Bart. I mean, you married him obviously because he has a cool last name. I mean, Bart Eagle is like literally like a superhero name. But tell me about Bart and why it was important to dedicate the book to him.
Thank you. Bart is all about living life to the fullest. He is extremely nice, extremely smart, extremely caring. He has been my dear friend, awesome husband, great love, and he just loves to live life to the fullest. And he's so proud of me. So it just feels nice, Marriage, of course, is not easy, as everybody knows. But wow, we're together now 32 years, and it's hard to believe. And I met him along the way from Dallas to New York, and he's a very successful lawyer, and he he's just so much fun. He does say we have an eternity, Terry, to sleep. So keep on doing your thing.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, it sounds like you picked a good one,
Yes.
and it sounds like you've written a great book. It's The Champagne CEO, A Sparkling Journey of Success Through Courage, Confidence, and Collaboration. Her name is Terri Eagle. Terri, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Joe, thank you very much.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Authority Company podcast. If you want to find out more information about Terri and her other amazing authors, go to theauthoritycompany.com.